The Silent Rich. Building Quiet Wealth Through Simple Living, written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. The loudest room isn't always the smartest, nor is it the richest. Walk into any party, and you'll find the loud talkers holding court, flashing their watches, dropping hints about their latest purchases. They want you to see them, hear them, admire them. But if you pay attention, the ones truly worth watching are often standing quietly in the corner, sipping their drink, asking questions, and smiling politely. They have nothing to prove. They've already won the game, and they didn't need to broadcast it. This book is about those people. It's about the men and women who build wealth not on center stage but in the wings, backstage, or often outside the theater entirely. They don't seek followers. They seek freedom. While the world is busy chasing shiny objects, they're quietly stacking assets, designing lives of enough, and building invisible empires that allow them to live life on their own terms. Naval Ravikant once said, "Play long-term games with long-term people." The silent rich have mastered this principle. They don't chase trends or try to impress short-term thinkers. They focus on the slow, steady, and often boring moves that compound quietly over decades. They understand that wealth isn't built through performance, it's built through discipline, patience, and a ruthless commitment to simplicity. In a society obsessed with status symbols and the appearance of success, this path can feel radical. After all, we've been conditioned to associate wealth with visibility, luxury cars, sprawling mansions, Instagram-worthy vacations. But the silent rich know that real wealth doesn't crave attention. It whispers in the form of freedom, peace, and autonomy. It shows up in the decisions they get to make, not the possessions they get to display. This book isn't about deprivation or frugality for the sake of it. It's about flipping the script. It's about redefining wealth on your terms, designing a life where money becomes a servant to your values, not a master of your identity. Throughout these pages, you'll meet people who chose the quiet path and built extraordinary lives behind the scenes. You'll learn the mindsets, the moves, and the habits that separate the silent rich from the noisy broke. And perhaps most importantly, you'll see that the quietest life can, in fact, be the richest one. Chapter 1. The Noise and the Signal. On any given morning, millions of thumbs scroll across glowing screens, absorbing an endless parade of curated lifestyles. Lamborghinis, tropical vacations, designer bags, private jets, it's a highlight reel designed to trigger envy and urgency. The message is clear and loud: if you aren't keeping up, you're falling behind. But behind the velvet curtain of social media glamour is a quieter world, a world where the truly wealthy aren't broadcasting their success. They're too busy quietly building it. Consider the case of Leo, an executive assistant in a mid-size firm. His Instagram feed is unassuming, mostly pictures of his dog and Sunday hikes. His car? A reliable, slightly faded sedan with 150,000 miles on the odometer. His wardrobe? Crisp but plain. What his colleagues don't know is that Leo's net worth silently crossed 7 figures last year. He didn't inherit wealth, nor did he win the lottery. His strategy? Living well below his means, investing consistently, and resisting the siren song of lifestyle inflation. Leo doesn't care about appearing rich because he's too focused on actually being rich. The noise of the modern world can feel deafening. Everywhere you turn, someone is offering a shortcut to success, a hack to wealth, a limited time offer that promises to change your life. It's easy to feel like you're missing out, that you're failing if you don't have the latest gadget, the biggest house, the flashiest car. The pressure to perform wealth has become the new debt trap, shackling people to expensive lifestyles that drain their energy and bank accounts. And yet, the silent rich walk a different path, one paved with restraint, clarity, and a deep understanding of what truly matters. Why is the quiet path overlooked? Because it's boring. It lacks spectacle. Slow, steady wealth accumulation doesn't make headlines. The media doesn't celebrate the woman who drives her decade-old Toyota and maxes out her retirement accounts. There's no viral video on eating leftovers and canceling unused subscriptions. Yet these are the very behaviors that, over time, create lasting, compounding wealth. For most people, the struggle isn't that they don't know what to do. It's that they're distracted, caught in a whirlwind of noise that pulls them away from the simple truths of money. The silent rich have mastered the art of filtering that noise. They ask different questions. Instead of what can I show off, they ask what already serves me well. Instead of how can I appear wealthy, they wonder, how can I create freedom? Here's a gentle challenge. Look at your own life. Where is noise driving your decisions? Is it the car upgrade you're considering because everyone at work drives newer models? Is it the vacation you can't afford but feel obligated to post about? Awareness is the first step to tuning out the static and tuning into what actually builds wealth. The reward: clarity. A peaceful confidence that you are playing a longer, wiser game. The silent rich understand that the loudest voices in the room are often the ones with the least security. They don't need to shout because their wealth speaks for itself, in whispers. In the pages ahead, you'll discover how these quiet operators build, protect, and grow their wealth without applause. You'll learn their mindsets, their moves, and how to apply them to your own life. Next, we'll explore the dangerous myth of more, and why the silent rich choose enough over excess every single time. Chapter 2. The Myth of More. Kevin had always believed in the upgrade path. Every promotion at work triggered an automatic reward: a bigger apartment, a newer car, a pricier vacation. To outsiders, he looked like success personified. But inside, Kevin was suffocating under the weight of his lifestyle. The pay raises never seemed to keep up with the mounting bills. The more he earned, the less free he felt. Kevin wasn't alone. He was trapped in the myth of more, the belief that happiness, security, and status are just one more purchase away. The myth is seductive. Our culture sells it relentlessly. Advertisements whisper that you deserve better, that your current life is lacking, that the next upgrade will finally deliver satisfaction. Social media amplifies the noise, turning ordinary moments into performance art where only the shiniest, most extravagant versions of life get likes. It's no wonder people feel like they're losing a race they never signed up for. But the silent rich see through the illusion. They understand that chasing more is a hamster wheel with no exit. The faster you run, the faster the wheel spins. Instead of sprinting toward the next shiny thing, they step off the wheel entirely. They practice the art of enough. Enough is not about deprivation or settling. It's about intentionality. It's asking, what already serves me well? It's recognizing that a well-maintained, older car that gets you where you need to go is enough. A cozy home that meets your needs is enough. A wardrobe of durable, timeless clothes is enough. The silent rich resist the urge to upgrade for ego's sake. They see every unnecessary upgrade as a silent thief, stealing from their future wealth. Emma, the quiet architect introduced earlier, embodies this perfectly. Her friends drive newer SUVs. She keeps her decade-old sedan because it's reliable, paid off, and does its job. She's not sacrificing comfort, she's sidestepping vanity expenses that add no real value to her life. While others spend weekends car shopping, she enjoys the freedom of knowing her money is working quietly in the background. The myth of more isn't just about things. It infiltrates experiences, hobbies, even relationships. People stretch their budgets for luxury vacations, convinced the Instagram-worthy getaway will finally make them feel whole. The silent rich know that joy doesn't come from the price tag of an experience, but from its alignment with their values. They invest in moments that enrich, not impress. This mindset shift is both radical and liberating. It frees you from the endless comparison game. It lets you define wealth on your terms, not based on someone else's highlight reel. It invites you to ask deeper questions. What if you already have what you need? What if the next upgrade only serves to distract you from what truly matters? Here's a practical exercise. Walk through your home, your closet, your garage. Ask yourself, what do I own that still serves me well? Notice how often the answer is most of it. Then challenge yourself. Can you delay your next upgrade? Can you redirect that money into your silent soldiers, investments that grow quietly over time? The myth of more will always be loud, always knocking at your door with a new temptation. But the silent rich have learned to close that door gently and firmly. They know that freedom lives on the other side of enough. Next, you'll discover how the silent rich don't let their dollars sit idle. They deploy them as silent soldiers, working, growing, and multiplying in the background, while they focus on living simply and intentionally. Chapter 3. Deploying Silent Soldiers. Imagine for a moment that every dollar in your wallet is a tiny soldier. Most people let these soldiers lounge around, sitting idly in savings accounts, or worse, they squander them on fleeting pleasures. But the silent rich view every dollar as an active combatant in the lifelong campaign of wealth building. They deploy their money strategically, assigning it missions that continue working long after the initial effort is done. It's a simple shift in mindset, but a profound one. For the silent rich, saving is not about hoarding or scarcity, it's about redeployment. Every dollar not spent on unnecessary lifestyle upgrades becomes a soldier assigned to investment battalions. These soldiers, when placed wisely, recruit more soldiers through dividends, interest, rents, and capital gains. Over time, the army grows stronger, working harder than the owner ever could alone. Most people, by contrast, keep their money in financial barracks, savings accounts yielding less than inflation. They mistake liquidity for safety, not realizing that idle dollars quietly erode in value, sabotaged by inflation's invisible tax. The silent rich avoid this trap by giving their dollars purposeful work. They don't get distracted by get-rich-quick schemes or speculative gambles. Instead, they prefer steady, reliable soldiers, index funds, dividend-paying stocks, income-producing real estate, investments that might not generate headlines but deliver compounding returns year after year. Consider Jasmine, a teacher in a quiet suburb. On paper, her income is modest. But behind the scenes, Jasmine's dollars are fully deployed. She maxes out her retirement accounts, invests in simple, low-cost index funds, and owns a rental duplex that pays her monthly cash flow. While her colleagues upgrade cars and kitchens, Jasmine upgrades her investment army. She's not flashy, but she's quietly winning the game. Her dollars aren't sitting idle, they're out on the field, compounding tirelessly. The beauty of deploying silent soldiers is that they don't need your constant attention. You don't have to micromanage them. You set up automatic contributions, reinvest dividends, and let time and math do the heavy lifting. It's the opposite of the frantic, high-stakes investing portrayed on TV. The silent rich know that wealth is a slow, patient war, not a flashy battle. Some might argue, but I don't have enough money to invest. The silent rich would challenge that notion. Every dollar has potential, no matter how small. They start with what they have and let consistency do the rest. They understand the power of starting now, no matter how modest the initial battalion. A single soldier invested today can grow into a regiment over decades. Here's an exercise. Look at your last month's spending. Identify one recurring expense that doesn't bring you lasting joy, a subscription you forgot about, a daily indulgence that's become routine. Cancel it. Redirect that amount into an investment account. Aim that money your first deployed soldier. Watch how quickly small, consistent deployments grow into an army of financial independence. Deploying silent soldiers is not about deprivation, it's about aligning your money with your mission. It's about letting your dollars fight for your freedom while you focus on living simply, intentionally, and joyfully. In the next chapter, you'll see how the silent rich resist the most tempting and dangerous enemy of quiet wealth, lifestyle inflation. You'll discover how they protect the gap between income and expenses and turn it into the engine of their invisible financial empire. Chapter 4. Rejecting Lifestyle Inflation. Melissa always believed that earning more would solve her money problems. And at first it seemed true. A promotion brought a bigger paycheck, and with it came a luxury car, a larger home, and lavish dinners. But a curious thing happened. Her stress didn't decrease. Her savings didn't grow. In fact, Melissa found herself living paycheck to paycheck, only now the paychecks were bigger, and the bills were too. She had fallen into the most common trap that sabotages quiet wealth, lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is sneaky. It disguises itself as progress. Promotions, raises, windfalls, they all feel like invitations to upgrade. A nicer car, a fancier wardrobe, a more exotic vacation. Society cheers you on, reinforcing the lie that you've earned it. But the silent rich know better. They understand that the path to wealth isn't paved with upgrades, it's paved with discipline. They reject lifestyle inflation not out of scarcity, but out of strategy. Here's the secret the silent rich have mastered: as their income grows, their lifestyle stays the same. The gap between earnings and expenses widens, and that gap becomes the engine of their quiet wealth. They don't view raises as reasons to spend more, they see them as tools to deploy more silent soldiers into their investment armies. Take Rajay, an unassuming IT specialist. Over the years, Rajay's salary doubled, but his lifestyle remained remarkably steady. His friends joked about his old sedan and his modest apartment, unaware that Raj was funneling the extra income into index funds, rental properties, and dividend stocks. By refusing to inflate his lifestyle, Raj accelerated his wealth-building trajectory, silently outpacing peers who earned the same but spent more. The temptation to inflate lifestyle is strong because it's immediate and visible. A new car feels exciting. A bigger house impresses neighbors. But these are sugar highs, temporary, addictive, and ultimately hollow. The silent rich trade those fleeting thrills for the lasting satisfaction of freedom. They ask, does this purchase add real value to my life, or is it a reflex to match my new income? One powerful practice the silent rich use is lifestyle locking. When they reach a comfortable, functional lifestyle, they consciously lock it in place, even as their income continues to rise. They allow for occasional, intentional splurges that align with their values, but they avoid automatic upgrades. They keep their fixed expenses low, their savings rate high, and their future wide open. Here's a challenge: calculate your current lifestyle cost, your monthly spending on essentials and pleasures. Now imagine your income increases by 20%. What would you do? The silent rich would funnel the difference directly into investments, preserving their lifestyle and supercharging their wealth. It's not about denying yourself pleasure, it's about choosing long-term freedom over short-term flash. Rejecting lifestyle inflation doesn't mean living like a monk. It means being deliberate. It means recognizing that every dollar you don't inflate becomes a soldier working for your future self. The silent rich find joy in watching their wealth compound quietly, rather than flaunting it publicly. In the next chapter, you'll discover how the silent rich use the power of invisibility to protect their wealth, their peace, and their privacy. You'll learn why they avoid the spotlight and how invisibility becomes their stealth shield in a noisy, status-obsessed world. Chapter 5. The Power of Invisibility. It's often said that wealth whispers while poverty screams. Nowhere is this more true than in the lives of the silent rich. While the world clamors for attention, likes, and validation, the silent rich slip quietly through life, their wealth invisible to the untrained eye. Invisibility isn't an accident. It's a deliberate choice, a protective shield that guards their freedom, privacy, and peace. Jason lived in an ordinary cul-de-sac. His neighbors knew him as the guy who mowed his own lawn, drove an aging SUV, and wore the same pair of worn jeans every weekend. What they didn't know was that Jason owned 3 apartment complexes in another state, held a robust portfolio of index funds, and operated a profitable online business. Jason wasn't hiding his wealth, he simply chose not to display it. He understood that flash attracts attention, and attention invites problems. Invisibility offers more than just privacy, it offers safety. The silent rich avoid the spotlight because they know it invites envy, judgment, and sometimes danger. Flaunting wealth creates a target on your back, whether from scammers, opportunists, or worse. The silent rich sidestep these risks by keeping their financial success discreet, blending into their surroundings, and living beneath the radar. But invisibility isn't about paranoia, it's about freedom. Freedom to live life on your terms without external pressures or expectations. When no one knows how wealthy you are, no one expects you to pick up the dinner check, donate to every cause, or justify your spending choices. The silent rich enjoy the liberating anonymity that comes from not broadcasting their financial status. Invisibility also grants them psychological freedom. They are less likely to make decisions to impress others because they aren't performing wealth for an audience. Their financial moves are guided by internal values, not external applause. This mindset shields them from the comparison trap, the keeping up with the Joneses syndrome that drains wallets and spirits alike. Consider this: when was the last time you made a purchase to be seen? Maybe it was the designer bag, the high-end watch, or the trendy car. The silent rich would ask, who am I really buying this for? They understand that many spending decisions are rooted in the desire to project an image rather than fulfill a genuine need. By embracing invisibility, they strip away those illusions and focus on what truly brings satisfaction. Here's a practical exercise: audit your life for display spending. Identify purchases you made to signal status rather than meet a real need. Challenge yourself to step back from performative consumption and embrace stealth wealth. Notice how it feels to keep your victories private, your wins unshared, your success unannounced. There is a quiet power in knowing that you have nothing to prove to anyone. The silent rich also structure their lives to protect invisibility. They choose homes in modest neighborhoods, drive practical vehicles, and avoid public displays of opulence. They cultivate an aura of normalcy that disarms curiosity. To them, the ultimate status symbol is not the flashy car or the designer wardrobe, it's the freedom to move through life unnoticed, unbothered, and financially fortified. In the next chapter, you'll see how the silent rich pair invisibility with ordinary-looking actions that create extraordinary financial outcomes. You'll discover how the most powerful wealth moves often look boring from the outside, but generate unstoppable momentum beneath the surface. Chapter 6: Ordinary Actions, Extraordinary Outcomes. Emma's life looked ordinary from the outside. She brewed her own coffee, packed lunches for work, and spent weekends tending her modest garden. Her wardrobe leaned toward practical rather than fashionable. Her car, while clean and reliable, had seen better days. Yet beneath the surface of these mundane routines was a financial powerhouse quietly compounding in the background. Emma's net worth exceeded that of peers who earned twice her salary. How? By embracing ordinary actions done with extraordinary consistency. The silent rich know that wealth isn't built through grand gestures or secret hacks. It's created through small, repetitive actions that compound over time. They reject the allure of flashy strategies and instead focus on mastering the boring basics. They automate their savings, invest in diversified funds, eliminate debt methodically, and stay the course through market ups and downs. To outsiders, their approach looks uninspired, but that's precisely the point. What lacks sizzle often delivers the most substance. In a world addicted to excitement, the ordinary is often dismissed as ineffective. The media celebrates entrepreneurs who made millions overnight, crypto investors who struck gold, and lottery winners who defied the odds. But the silent rich know that these stories are exceptions, not strategies. They understand that chasing extraordinary outcomes through extraordinary risks often leads to extraordinary losses. Instead, they place their trust in the slow, steady power of compounding. Albert Einstein reportedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether he said it or not, the principle holds. Small, consistent actions, saving a percentage of every paycheck, reinvesting dividends, paying down debts aggressively, may seem dull, but they create unstoppable momentum when sustained over years. The silent rich also remove friction from their financial lives. They automate everything they can: bill payments, savings transfers, investment contributions, so that wealth building happens quietly in the background. They eliminate the need for daily decision-making, knowing that discipline beats motivation over the long haul. By putting their financial lives on autopilot, they free up mental space for more meaningful pursuits. But perhaps the most extraordinary outcome of these ordinary actions is not just financial, it's psychological. The silent rich experience a rare kind of peace. They're not chasing the next big win, riding emotional roller coasters with every market swing, or constantly second-guessing their strategies. Their wealth building is so baked into their lifestyle that it no longer feels like an effort, it becomes part of who they are. Here's a question to ponder: what if the most powerful wealth moves were the ones that no one claps for? What if success came not from big bets but from small, quiet routines repeated relentlessly? The silent rich would nod knowingly. They've seen it play out over and over. The people who quietly save, invest, and live below their means end up lapping those who chase the spotlight. A simple exercise: identify one ordinary action you can automate today. Maybe it's setting up an automatic transfer to your investment account. Maybe it's scheduling an extra mortgage payment each year. Then commit to it without fanfare. Let it run quietly in the background, like a silent soldier adding to your army. In the next chapter, you'll learn how the silent rich take their ordinary actions one step further by shifting from consumer to quiet owner. You'll see how they stop buying what others sell and instead focus on owning the assets that build invisible empires behind closed doors. Chapter 7. From Consumer to Quiet Owner. In the bustling aisles of the electronics store, two friends debated over the latest gadget. One argued the features were worth the hefty price tag. The other, quietly observing, asked a different question: would you rather own the company that makes this, or just own the gadget? That simple question cuts to the heart of the silent rich's mindset shift, from consumer to quiet owner. Most people are conditioned to consume. They buy, they upgrade, they accumulate. Every paycheck flows outward toward cars, gadgets, clothes, subscriptions, and experiences. They trade their labor for things that depreciate the moment they're purchased. The silent rich flip the script. They see ownership, not consumption, as the key to wealth. Ownership creates leverage. While consumers spend, owners profit from the spending of others. Every time someone swipes a credit card, uses a streaming service, or fills a gas tank, owners of those companies earn a slice. The silent rich understand that owning assets, businesses, stocks, real estate, puts them on the side of the wealth equation that benefits from the economy's activity, rather than being drained by it. Take Carla, a nurse with an eye for quiet wealth. Early in her career, she realized she was spending hundreds each month on brands she admired. She asked herself, why not own them instead? She began buying shares of companies whose products she already used, slowly building a portfolio of ownership. Over time, the dividends and capital gains from these investments surpassed what she used to spend consuming them. Carla still enjoys life's pleasures, but now she does so as an owner, not just a customer. The shift from consumer to owner is subtle but transformative. It doesn't require massive capital to start. It begins with awareness, asking yourself, where is my money flowing? Who is benefiting from my spending? The silent rich direct their dollars toward ownership opportunities, no matter how small at first. They understand that tiny ownership stakes compound into significant wealth over time. This mindset extends beyond stocks. The silent rich look for ways to own income-producing assets in all areas of life. Rental properties that generate steady cash flow. Small businesses that operate quietly in the background. Intellectual property that pays royalties. They build mini empires that produce income whether they work or not. But they do so quietly, without fanfare. There's no need to brag about owning shares of a company or collecting rental income. Their satisfaction comes from the results, not the recognition. This quiet ownership allows them to live comfortably, confidently, and independently, regardless of economic turbulence. Here's a practical challenge. The next time you're tempted to buy a product, ask yourself, could I own a piece of the company that makes this instead? Even a small investment shifts your mindset from spender to stakeholder. Over time, these small shifts compound into meaningful wealth. The silent rich don't abandon consumption entirely, they simply balance it with ownership. They enjoy life, but they make sure their dollars are working for them, not just leaving their accounts. This subtle shift creates a financial flywheel that accelerates over time, giving them more freedom, more choice, and more peace of mind. In the next chapter, you'll learn how the silent rich go beyond money by designing lives of enough. You'll see how they intentionally craft lifestyles that align with their values, ensuring that their wealth serves them, not the other way around. Chapter 8. Designing a life of enough. Imagine an architect designing a home, not by following the latest trends or imitating neighbors, but by asking, what do I actually need? What spaces will support how I want to live? The silent rich approach life itself the same way. They don't accept default blueprints handed to them by society. Instead, they design lives of enough, lives intentionally crafted around what matters most to them, not what others say should matter. In a world fueled by comparison, most people build lives based on borrowed desires. They chase milestones without pausing to question whether those milestones align with their personal values. The silent rich reject this autopilot existence. They make deliberate choices about where to live, how to spend their time, and what to own, guided not by trends but by clarity. Evelyn and Mark exemplify this approach. This approach. While their peers bought into suburban sprawl, They chose a small home in a walkable neighborhood close to their favorite parks and coffee shops. Instead of sprawling square footage, they prioritize community and time. Their furniture is functional, their wardrobe simple, their schedules uncluttered. Their wealth, carefully grown over the years, is invisible to outsiders, but it shows up in how they live, with spacious calendars, debt-free confidence, and the freedom to say no to things that don't align with their values. Designing a life of enough requires asking uncomfortable questions. What truly matters to me? How much is enough? What am I chasing that might not actually fulfill me? The silent rich sit with these questions, knowing the answers might challenge deeply ingrained habits. They understand that clarity is a form of wealth in itself, sparing them from wasting time, energy, and money on things that don't bring lasting satisfaction. This approach isn't about frugality for frugality's sake. It's about alignment. The silent rich might splurge on what they deeply value: a sabbatical to write a book, a cabin in the woods, high-quality tools for a beloved hobby, but they ruthlessly cut spending on things that are status-driven or impulse-fueled. They ask, does this serve my values, or is this serving someone else's marketing agenda? One of the most overlooked benefits of designing a life of enough is mental freedom. When you know what enough looks like for you, you stop chasing moving targets. You no longer feel the pressure to upgrade every aspect of your life just because your income increased or your peers did. You find peace in sufficiency, and that peace becomes a moat protecting your focus, creativity, and joy. Here's an exercise to explore your own enough. Take out a blank sheet of paper and list the areas of your life: home, work, transportation, recreation, relationships. For each, write down what enough looks like to you, not what social norms dictate. You might discover that a 2-bedroom condo meets your needs perfectly, that weekend hikes bring more joy than exotic vacations, or that simple home-cooked meals satisfy more than dining at the trendiest restaurants. The silent rich use this clarity to make every financial decision easier. When they know what enough is, they can ignore the noise of consumer culture, reject unnecessary upgrades, and direct their resources toward the things that truly matter. Their money serves their life, not the other way around. In the next chapter, you'll see how the simplicity the silent rich embrace compounds far beyond finances. You'll discover how simplifying not only builds wealth but also unlocks the freedom dividend: more time, more peace, and more energy to focus on what matters most. Chapter 9. The Freedom Dividend of Simplicity. Tanya once believed that more meant better: more gadgets, more commitments, more options. Her calendar was packed, her home cluttered, her finances stretched. Then, after a health scare forced her to reevaluate, she began stripping away the excess. The transformation surprised her. With fewer possessions, fewer obligations, and fewer distractions, she felt lighter, freer, more alive. What she discovered is a truth the silent rich have long understood: simplicity isn't just about saving money, it's about reclaiming your life's most precious resources: time, energy, and attention. The freedom dividend of simplicity is rarely advertised, yet it might be the silent rich's greatest secret. By keeping their lives intentionally simple, they unlock dividends that compound beyond finances. They free themselves from the maintenance costs, both literal and emotional, of complex lifestyles. They avoid the burden of keeping up appearances, managing sprawling estates, juggling overloaded schedules. This simplicity creates white space in their days, allowing room for reflection, creativity, and rest. Simplicity also acts as a filter. The silent rich curate their commitments with the same care they curate their investments. They say no often, knowing that every yes carries an opportunity cost. By simplifying what they say yes to, they focus their time on relationships, projects, and experiences that align with their values. This focus accelerates their progress toward meaningful goals while protecting them from the overwhelm that comes with overcommitted lives. Financially, simplicity compounds powerfully. A smaller home means lower maintenance costs, property taxes, and utility bills. A reliable used car avoids the depreciation tax of new vehicles. A minimalist wardrobe eliminates the endless cycle of chasing trends. Every layer of simplicity widens the gap between income and expenses, freeing up capital to deploy into wealth-building assets. But the silent rich don't simplify as a sacrifice. They simplify as a strategy to amplify what matters. By reducing the clutter, physical, mental, and financial, they create space for the good stuff. Deep work. Quality time. Adventures that don't require a passport or a hefty price tag. Simplicity is not about doing without, it's about doing more with less. Consider this: complexity has a cost. Every new purchase, every added obligation, every extra layer of lifestyle sophistication demands attention, maintenance, and mental bandwidth. The silent rich understand that every layer of complexity chips away at freedom. They choose the path of less not because they can't afford more, but because they know that less often delivers more peace, more flexibility, more joy. Here's a practical challenge: conduct a simplicity audit. Walk through your home, your calendar, your finances. Ask, what can I remove that no longer serves me? What's adding friction rather than value? The goal isn't to strip your life bare, but to clear space for what matters most. Notice how even small acts of simplification, canceling an unused subscription, decluttering a closet, streamlining your schedule, can create surprising relief. The silent rich protect their simplicity fiercely. They know the world will keep offering them opportunities to complicate their lives: bigger homes, fancier gadgets, busier schedules, but they've learned to politely decline. They understand that their most valuable asset isn't money, it's time, and simplicity is the vehicle that protects and amplifies that asset. In the next chapter, you'll discover how the silent rich build wealth quietly in the shadows. You'll learn why they prefer to let their success grow underground, unnoticed by the noisy world, and how this stealth approach becomes their most powerful financial superpower. Chapter 10. Wealth in the Shadows. Beneath the soil, seeds work quietly. They absorb nutrients, grow roots, and prepare for the moment they'll break the surface. To the casual observer, nothing appears to be happening, but under the surface, growth is relentless. The silent rich operate the same way. Their wealth grows in the shadows, invisible to outsiders, unnoticed by those obsessed with surface-level displays. They understand that the most powerful financial moves often happen away from the spotlight, behind the scenes, in quiet corners where compounding can do its magic undisturbed. The world rewards flash and noise. Social media thrives on instant wins, viral stories, and rags to riches tales. But the silent rich know those are the exception, not the rule. They don't chase visibility, they pursue durability. They prefer their wealth to grow underground, free from scrutiny, free from the pressure to perform. In this subterranean space, their investments flourish without the distractions of comparison or competition. Elliot, a soft-spoken pharmacist, embodied this principle. While peers chased risky startups or speculative stocks, Elliot quietly bought shares of companies with boring names but consistent dividends. He invested in rental properties in overlooked neighborhoods. His strategy didn't make headlines, but over years, it produced an income stream that eclipsed his salary. His wealth grew in the shadows, quietly, predictably, powerfully. There's a protective layer that comes with shadow wealth. When your success isn't broadcast, you shield yourself from envy, opportunists, and the temptation to inflate your lifestyle. The silent rich understand that invisible wealth is harder to disrupt. It's not tethered to public perception or dependent on external validation. It's rooted deeply in private choices, private assets, and private wins. But growing wealth in the shadows requires patience, a quality the silent rich cultivate deliberately. They resist the urge to chase hype or prove themselves. They let others argue about the latest investing trend while they stick to their boring, effective strategies. They trust the math of compounding, the slow accumulation of assets, the drip 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 of dividends and rents and interest that, over time, becomes a river of income. The power of shadow wealth is also psychological. When you aren't fixated on outward appearances, you free yourself from the exhausting race of keeping up. You no longer feel the need to signal success because your success is measured by internal metrics: freedom, peace, autonomy. The silent rich quietly track their progress with personal benchmarks, not public applause. How much of your financial behavior is driven by the desire to be seen? What would change if your wealth building was a private game, played only for your future self? The silent rich embrace this mindset fully. They see their financial journey as a deeply personal mission, not a public performance. A practical step: start a private wealth tracker. It could be as simple as a spreadsheet or a handwritten journal. Track your net worth, your savings rate, your progress toward freedom milestones. Keep it for your eyes only. Let it be a quiet reminder that your wealth is growing, even if no one else notices. The silent rich find satisfaction not in showing off but in knowing they are building something durable, unshakable, and theirs alone. Their wealth moves like roots underground, steady, invisible, unstoppable. In the next chapter, you'll learn how the silent rich protect their greatest asset, their mindset. You'll see how they guard their thinking in a loud, distracted world and maintain the quiet discipline that fuels their invisible financial empires. Chapter 11. Guarding the Quiet Mindset. The world is loud. Billboards scream promises of luxury. Notifications ding like Pavlov's bells, pulling attention towards sales, trends, and fear-fueled headlines. In this relentless noise, the most valuable real estate isn't stocks, real estate, or businesses. It's the space between your ears. The silent rich know this. They guard their mindset like a fortress, understanding that the right mental habits are what allow them to stay the course when the world tries to pull them off it. Noise doesn't just distract, it sabotages. It convinces people to chase what they don't need, fear what they can't control, and compare themselves to curated illusions. Even the most disciplined investor can be rattled by a friend's flashy purchase or a news cycle predicting doom. The silent rich build defenses against these intrusions. They curate what enters their minds as carefully as they curate what enters their investment portfolios. Part of guarding the quiet mindset is filtering inputs. The silent rich are ruthless about their information diet. They limit exposure to financial clickbait, social media influencers peddling unrealistic lifestyles, and pundits who profit from panic. They seek wisdom, not noise. They favor books, podcasts, and mentors who reinforce long-term thinking, patience, and discipline. They understand that what you feed your mind shapes how you see the world and your money. Marcus, a small business owner, once found himself slipping. Despite years of quiet financial progress, a few flashy posts from old classmates triggered doubts. Was he playing too small? Was he missing out? Recognizing the creeping envy, Marcus took immediate action. He detoxed his social feeds, paused consuming speculative content, and returned to his personal wealth journal, a simple document tracking his progress, his goals, his why. Within days, the noise faded, replaced by the calm confidence that had always guided him. The silent rich also cultivate mental rituals that protect their focus. They journal, reflect, and review their progress regularly. They revisit their long-term vision to stay anchored when tempted by short-term distractions. They remind themselves that markets rise and fall, trends come and go, but disciplined action compounds regardless of the noise. Another key habit is surrounding themselves with quiet allies. The silent rich don't need cheerleaders, they need accountability partners who share their values. They seek conversations that reinforce discipline, patience, and enough. They protect their environment from voices that glamorize excess or glorify overnight success. They know that even casual conversations can sow seeds of doubt if left unchecked. Guarding the quiet mindset also means protecting energy. The silent rich are intentional about rest, reflection, and recovery. They understand that burnout erodes discipline faster than temptation. By maintaining spaciousness in their lives, uncluttered calendars, unscheduled weekends, intentional solitude, they keep their minds clear and resilient. Here's a reflection: what mental clutter are you allowing into your life? Where is noise sabotaging your focus, your patience, your calm? What would happen if you built mental boundaries as strong as your financial ones? A simple practice: set daily or weekly boundaries around information intake. Replace 30 minutes of social media scrolling with a book on timeless investing wisdom. Swap gossip-filled conversations for quiet reflection. Notice how quickly your mindset recalibrates when you reduce the volume of outside noise. The silent rich know that wealth isn't just built in accounts, it's built in thoughts. Protecting the quiet mindset is what allows them to make calm decisions while others panic, to stay the course while others flail, and to build invisible empires in a world obsessed with spectacle. In the final chapter, you'll see how the silent rich bring it all together, living life on their terms, free from the need to prove anything to anyone. Chapter 12. Living on your terms without needing to prove it. What does true wealth look like to you? Not the version sold in glossy magazines or flaunted on social media, but your personal, authentic definition. The silent rich ask this question often, not because they're searching for a universal answer, but because they know the only answer that matters is their own. They've learned that the ultimate freedom isn't tied to a dollar amount. It's the ability to live life on your terms without the need to prove anything to anyone. This is the quiet destination that all their invisible moves, disciplined choices, and silent soldiers lead toward. It's not about the car in the driveway, the label on the handbag, or the size of the home. It's about waking up and choosing how to spend your day, who to spend it with, and what to focus on, without needing validation or applause. The noisy world, of course, keeps insisting that wealth is something to display, something to broadcast. But the silent rich know the truth. The more secure they become internally, the less they feel the need to seek external confirmation. They find their satisfaction in autonomy, peace, and alignment, not in accolades or recognition. Consider Ben and Alana, a couple who retired in their early 40s. Their social media profiles remained unchanged, no exotic vacation selfies, no announcement posts about their wealth milestones. Their days were filled with simple pleasures, morning walks, creative projects, volunteering at the local library. Their neighbors assumed they still worked, they never corrected the assumption. To Ben and Alana, the beauty was in the privacy, the quiet control over their time, the joy of not having to explain their choices to anyone. Living on your terms doesn't mean rejecting success or comfort. It means defining success for yourself and letting that definition guide your actions, not someone else's expectations. The silent rich write their own wealth manifesto. They ask, what do I value? What kind of life do I want? What's the price of that life, and how can I design it intentionally? This approach dismantles the endless race of proving, chasing, and comparing. It allows you to step off the treadmill and walk your own path, at your own pace, with your own compass. The silent rich understand that the greatest wealth is the removal of obligations that don't serve them, the erasure of debt, not just financial but mental and emotional. Here's a powerful exercise. Write your own wealth manifesto. Describe in vivid detail what your version of enough looks like. How much money do you need? How will you spend your time? Who will you spend it with? What will you stop doing? This clarity becomes your shield against the world's noisy demands and its endless invitations to compare. Living on your terms also requires the courage to be misunderstood. When you choose the quiet path, others may not get it. They might question your choices, mock your old car, wonder why you skipped the expensive vacation. The silent rich don't flinch. They smile, knowing they've chosen freedom over approval. In the end, the silent rich know that wealth isn't about stacking numbers in an account. It's about crafting a life so aligned with your values that you never feel the urge to prove your success. You simply live it, quietly, contentedly, on your terms. And perhaps the most powerful part of all, no one has to know, except you. Take care and be well.